Well, a few people have been asking about this, and I know there's been some pictures on BGG as well concerning organization of counters for Pacific War, but you could, if this isn't something that interests you, just skip it, but I am doing this for the few people that asked, and I don't know if you can have a philosophy of organization with counters on all these games, but this is my philosophy. There's a balance between number of counters that a particular game has, and how often you're going to play the game, and how many different types of counters need to be accessible when you play a particular game. You know, obviously something like squad leader, advanced squad leader, that that can get very complicated, and as far as also for the number of counters that you have to find places for, and so that's a whole other life, I think, of trying to organize ASL stuff. So leaving that aside, some games you can get very easily by with baggies, just baggies. Some people live by the baggies. I usually use them primarily for games that are a smaller footprint. They don't have, maybe there's a sheet or possibly 2 sheets of counters that you really don't need a counter tray for, or some other kind of formal organization, Plano trays, etc. But if I've got a game that's got a lot of counters in it, and I plan on using it quite a bit, then I would definitely go to this method. And somebody, I think on a picture I posted on Facebook, Wargamers sites, were like, that was their one comment today. That's all they says is 5 counter trays, exclamation point. Yeah. But 2,000 counters, I mean, it's not like they're, if you take a look at these trays, it's not like they're sparsely filled. I mean, they're not packed to the gills. You could get by a little bit differently, maybe cutting back on from 5 to 4. I don't know about 3. Everybody's different. But like I said, I don't mind using this many because I'll be coming back to it. So in a nutshell, this is what I did. I don't do this. I will do this for most games if I plan on keeping them. I give it a little time. This one I didn't. I spent 2 weeks playing Pacific War quite a bit, and knew I wanted to keep this very, very well organized. So a lot of games I'll print the labels. These are Avery labels, and put them on the clear plastic cover. What I won't do for a lot of games, I won't necessarily do this, but again, accessibility is a big factor. If I have this underneath to stay with it, so it's not, so that it's open and I can get to the trays very readily, this is indispensable, doing the matching labels. So I just copy and pasted and did 2 labels for each tray, one on outside, one on the tray itself. I know Gilbert Collins says I admire his organization. He's always organized like this for almost all of the stuff that he has. So this is the land unit, land combat counters. Has all the Japanese, all the Allied counters, You have to, for me, the brigades, the battalions, those are all well, the battalions are all the same value. Regimental counters and engineers are going to be the same, so you can mix those together. Brigades had to be separate. You'll have to search for a specific brigade because those values are not the same, as you can see here. And then there's a lot of ground divisions for Japanese. This depends on how fast you want to find a counter. You could double these up. I have 1 through 19 here, 20 through 39. You need the right division number in order to have the right values. So you have to find those specific ones. Most of these others are pretty accessible. U.S. regiments are all the same. U.S. divisions, there's not tons of them like there are Japanese, so you can search through and find para-commandos. Let's zoom a little bit so you can see. Marines are a little different depending if it's a division or brigade or there's a battalion. Engineers are all the same. Okay, so that's combat counters. There are some Marine, I think it's not in here. I think it's in the naval. So the Japanese Marines are in their naval units tray. And this also gives you a chance to get the Allied or the Commonwealth ships in there. I separated out. This is something I'd highly recommend. These are all the task force markers for numbers 21 on up, both Japanese and US. I don't think you're going to, oops, this should not be in here. I don't know what I did there. I have to take a look at this because I've got these. 12 should not be in there. I might have put these in the wrong tray when I cleaned up after. Anyway, those are both Japanese and US task force markers, some miscellaneous, OSB, etc. So that's Japanese naval mostly, along with Commonwealth. Third one is all the Japanese air, land-based, long-range air, naval-based, kamikazes, Commonwealth air. You can get this into one tray easily. Again, you could double up some of these if you don't need to have fast access like I would like to. Then the Allied, well, this is US ships. I did separate out, all the battleships are one. I had room, so the light cruisers are 1 through 10 and then 11 up. Same with the destroyers, 1 through 20, you're going to use a lot more than the 21 on up. As far as I can tell, the higher the number, those are all going to be later war, in the latter years of the theater. So if you don't get that far, you won't use some of those numbers. Light carriers, escort carriers, fleet carriers. There are a lot of carriers for the US. Again, I separated out just because you're going to be using these a lot more, at least initially. So some various markers. These are the 1 through 20 for both Japanese and Allied side force markers, which you'll use more. I have the rest of the force markers in a baggie because those are the high numbers you're not going to get to, so I just kept those aside together. Here are supposed to be the 1 through 20 task force, but I think I think I mislabeled that. That should be 1 through 10, because that's all on one force display sheet. So there should be 1 through 20 for forces and 1 through 10 for task forces on each of the Japanese or Allied task or force display sheets. So it makes sense to me to do it that way. And the last one is all the U.S. air counters, along with these construction counters, ops counters. I did separate the CAG. I think that somebody explained to me what these were. I should know the difference between ASG and CAG. They both go on carriers, but you're going to see these. There's a carrier assault group, and I don't know what the ASG is. Somebody can help me. Anyway, separated by levels. There's plenty to fill one tray for all those planes. It's very easy now. I mean, if I have to find a US land that's level 0F, just go here and I can take whatever I want. I don't need to search through for the specific number or name, so it makes it very fast. And then the only thing left is just baggies for all the hit counters. Bases, you just need to keep separate, Japanese and Allied, because they are different values. And of course they'll look different, so you can see who's owning what, but there's no difference in anything, so you can keep them all in one bag each. This is a little bit more for strategic scenarios, some ownerships of hexes. So keep that separate. And I showed this already. These are the high numbers for force counters, force display sheet. Somebody has already talked about this, and I'm going to start doing that the next time I play. But if you have the counters, let me grab really quick. MMP does this. This is typical of MMP games for any of the OCS and the DCS and the BCS and the etc. or any of the line of battle games. This is actually great, because all you have to do, if you use these, instead of switching these out every time you get, if you got one hit, great, put a 1 down, 2 hits, great, flip it, but then after that you have to find another counter. With these will last for 8 hits. So if you get 1 hit on a counter, you just put that at the top of underneath at the top of the counter. If they get 2 more hits, just keep rotating it. Now they've got 3 hits. If they get up to 5 hits, you just flip it over and there you go. So I definitely will be using these for future Pacific War games. So, and that's how I organize the counters. So if you want to save, if you're going to do this exact labeling system, I could just post my spreadsheet that I used to get the Avery labels up, and so if anybody wants that, it's nothing fancy, it's just typing them out, but all the typing's done. So just let me know, hopefully that's of use if you haven't done anything yet with your counters, or you've just tried a few scenarios and you haven't punched the whole thing yet. So all right, thanks for checking in. Bye.